Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Campbell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you're having a spectacular day. And today I've got a chat with Kelly Jones, and she has started the Australia Tartaria page on Facebook. So I'll leave the link below for that. If you're on Facebook, go and check it out. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And we've actually linked it up with my auto page as well, my Autodidactic page. So Kelly's going to help out a bit there, as I'm sort of a bit under, I never get a chance to go to Facebook anymore, really, and look at that page. And a big thank you to Jonathan for the new background behind me. Pretty cool. I also did a chat with Kel last week, so I'll leave the link for that below as well. Check that out. Give Kelly a like, subscribe, leave comments, all that kind of stuff. And I'll leave all the links below. And let's jump into it and have a chat with Kel.
Hi everyone, Kelly and Campbell here from Tartaria, Australia. I've kind of created a whole new show for us. This is a Tartarian Australian show, Campbell, and
Yes.
I guess we're going to be hopefully attracting some really kick-ass speakers to come and chat with us about all things to do with this very transformational new consciousness. But we just started talking about, how everyone's feeling about what's going on in the world and the vax, and we're just having a chat. So I thought we'd just start there. It's on everyone's mind. Yeah. And I was just, we were talking about whether or not the vax actually is going to water down your sort of creative thought process, that critical thinking that would actually allow you to see that this whole agenda has been playing out. And then if that's the case, we're going to appear more and more extreme and more crazy to this. And what is Australia after 70% keeps getting talked here in Melbourne? We've got to get 70% vaccination. Does that mean that they acknowledge there's 30% starseeds here? Is that the number? Is that how many of us, truth seekers and starseeds, are actually in Victoria? 30%?
I hope so. It'd be nice. Yeah, but then 70 will become 80 and who knows? It's all, it's definitely doing something to people, this Bill's prick. There's this whole talk of the split, the new earth, the split, and this could just be the way that it's physically manifesting.
Yeah.
And this adjunct between us and them, shall we say. Yeah. It's getting wider, but it's literally the vibrations we're on are getting further apart. So we can't understand them and they can't understand us.
Yeah.
So,
which is a loss, man.
It's shocking. I can't,
between families and friends and communities.
I'm lucky. I'm just fairly untouched over here. My immediate family, obviously my family aren't going near it, but my parents and that, as far as I know, they're not, and they haven't. So, but yeah, I just feel for people in your position. There's so many people, and it's just causing this big split. And, obviously it's causing an emotional, gap, distance, which is the hardest part to deal with.
For me, it's I feel like I've got to trust everyone's soul journey, and I'm trusting that we've all got our karmic process to go through, and it's already done. And we could probably just sit back and never make another decision this lifetime, and everything will play out exactly how it's meant to play out, because we absolutely knew what was going to play out for us, and it's already done. But I still struggle with the humanness of feeling like I've let them down, because I wasn't in all of my truth, in all of my consistency over 20 years of presenting this dialogue to them, have not in any way touched them or moved them enough to trust that maybe I knew something about this. So that's a shame. But and I guess a lot of us will have to go through that process. It's just an emotion, right?
Well, it is. And from their perspective, they probably feel the same, maybe, that they couldn't shift you because they feel that they're in the right. And I guess it comes down to ultimately, if you want freedom, freedom's not necessarily easy, is it? And freedom means you've got to give everyone their freedom.
I know. Wise words.
It's not it's not easy. It's, but that's the game. I think that's the deal.
It's true. And, it's like just more and more quirky lessons for us to go through step by step, stage. And why not? Because wouldn't life be boring if we weren't constantly bombarded by these emotional complexities? And right now, more than ever, are we bombarded by emotional complexities that are like, basically across the line, they're new emotions. We're dealing with a new variety of new information coming at us from very conflicting angles, and it's a new tension, a new emotion that's risen. So a real COVID-19 has a frequency band, and it's grown like this massive cloud, and it's rooted itself in humanity. And that frequency band comes with a new set of emotions for us to digest and update ourselves and upgrade ourselves and constantly be on top. And it also is coming, I've noticed, in alignment with, physical health issues, man. Like so many of my starseed friends are dealing with gurgly wurglies and weird ailments and like flus that don't feel like flus and just weird shit going on. And they're super healthy and super unvaxxed and, totally in this consciousness. So that frequency causes illness, and that cloud that COVID cloud causes illness. That was its entire intention. So
loose, right? Loose energy. That's what they like. That's fear. They just, the COVID cloud is, that was created through media. I mean, look what's been going on. That's why it's just so full on, because they have to get that into the ether, right? They have to get that message out there so that because that's how they create the reality that they want.
Yeah.
And they get everyone believing it. And so, yeah, it's definitely out there. And of course, it's going to affect everyone because it's a massive energy. I mean, when have we ever seen this much focus, from the whole world on one thing? And so that's what we've got to do, is stay above that, and keep reaching forward for more, keep seeing forward, trying to, I guess, live in that, be in the now, but live in that place where we want to get to,
Yeah.
And it's like you said, when you were walking around Melbourne and you were having fun and you saw it as an adventure and you could see the old buildings and you could eat wherever you wanted to. But at the same time, there's people, living probably next door to you who are shit scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the same physical place. It's where our mental space is that we've got and our emotional that we've got to focus on and take care of.
Well, it's very juxtaposed, like the whole world shut down and literally we've been locked up, but the whole Tartarian consciousness, which is why I've called it a transformational consciousness, has opened our whole worlds up so severely. Like literally we have got literally the picture behind me, which I'm loving collecting, literally we've got 2 worlds that have opened up to us, 2 layers, and there's so much to obsessively look at, and so broad is our concept of reality as a result. Like it's broadened. I feel like Tartaria has broadened us at least one-dimensional consciousness. So I think it's the bridge to 5th dimensional consciousness from a spiritual level in that sort of context, because we've had to open up a whole other side of the world. And it's a gigantic underground city with all that comes from, and the whole North Pole. I mean, there's so much, there's so many levels that have to open up to get you to Tartaria. That that's to me a bridge crossover. If that's not 4D, if that's not dense and interdimensional and fucking freaky shit and dark underground shit and amazing shit, and if that's not 4D bridge, I mean, that's what I feel like it's done anyway. So
yeah, I think it's showing us who we were, what we can be, and more than that we've already been that. So it's not a big jump. And with that, it means so much has come out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started, we were just looking at sunken buildings and star forts, and now it's just extra land, antiquitech, just everything, and it is the old world's being revealed. But also what's being revealed is the cover up.
Exactly.
That this has all been taken from us and by a certain group of people or a certain energy or whatever, and hidden purposefully, hidden. And so I think this is a great awakening. I mean, there seems to be something going on with time, right? Time's a bit weird at the moment.
It's so fucking weird.
And there's all these you know, stories and perspectives and things saying that we've run out of time, that time actually stopped in 2017 or 2012, or
Whoa.
that we're reliving that time again, that you know, the powers that be have tried to change it and we're reliving it.
We should explain the Mandela effect.
Yeah. Well, the Mandela effect as well comes into that, which is when things just randomly change.
Yep.
Like the Berenstain Bears became the Bernstein Bears.
Yep.
The Monopoly Man lost his monocle.
We are the champions.
We are the champions.
Lost of the world.
Yeah, doesn't finish with the same line.
Beam me up, Scotty. That changed.
Did that change?
Yeah, that one changed. As did like Luke, I'm your father from Star Wars. That changed as well.
Yeah, and Curious George used to have a tail or something, and now he doesn't, or the other way around.
Oh, look, I can tell you, I know that Mandela effect was so powerful for me personally as a truth seeker, because in 2013, when the Tiananmen Square massacre happened, like, or was it 2008? Either way, I was there. I was actually there with my family in Beijing when the Tiananmen Square, sorry, it was 1989.
I was going,
tripped out. Okay, I was 13. There we go. That's 2000. I was 13. It was 1989. I was still a young child, really. We just happened to be in China on a holiday, and this whole thing exploded in our face, and we got rushed away from the hotel into the airport, and all the military were there. And it's really freaking. It's burned in my brain because obviously we'd never been through anything like that before. And we all got immediately put on it. All the Westerners got put in a plane to Hong Kong. And so from Hong Kong, we sat in a hotel room and watched it avidly, like it burnt into my brain avidly as a 13-year-old. It was massive neuron development for me. And what I saw was a protester, a student, go in front of a tank and get run over. And then what I saw after that was the whole world exploded about China's human rights issue. It was a big thing. And then the Mandela effect came out. And now all the news reports about the Tiananmen Square is that that student actually just climbed up onto the tank and waved a flag, and that no one got run over. That never happened. And it's totally deleted from all the newspaper clippings, videos. So that to me was was undeniable personal experience that Mandela effect absolutely took place. So where were we? What happened to us? We don't even know.
No,
like,
we don't.
We could have been reset then.
Yeah. And the footage now shows him, getting on the tank and flying a flag. It's completely changed. So one theory is that we've already lived this time, whether it be the last 3 years or last 7 or 8 years, whatever it is. But the reason they've done that is they wanted it to get to a different conclusion. So little things have been changed. And so the Mandela effect is us remembering what things used to be like. So that's one theory.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. So basically most of the theories have got to do with time.
Yeah.
And things, time either being reversed or replayed or something like that, because and it all starts, it's called the Mandela effect because people, Nelson Mandela, people remember him being released from prison in the 80s, I think. No, dying in prison.
Killed, And then there being a big rock concert in his name.
Yeah. And there was all this stuff about him, And then, but then he got released, in 2008 or something, and went on to become the president of South Africa. So that's why it's called the Mandela effect, because there's two people are remembering two different realities.
Absolutely.
So... I mean, another one is the, the people that are remembering, the different reality. Are they, walk-ins, have they just arrived with a slightly different, view on things? Because
that would be us. Are we walk-ins? Do you feel like a walk-in? How would we gauge that?
Not. This is the thing. I mean, walk-ins aren't. It doesn't seem to be that, like, you sort of know, I'm a walk-in. I've only been here. It's more of you're the same sort of base person, but a higher version of you's come in, if you know what I mean. So you're the same person, but there's a change where you're suddenly a higher version of yourself is what they're calling walk-ins.
Upgraded, activated.
An upgrade. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
because I think anyone who got into Mandela effect were a truth seeker. We're all on this, like, that's where you would have found that information and resonated with it and like gone into remembering the shift. So it's definitely, that would make sense.
And a lot of people remember when things seem to just shift and change, and they'll say, and then I was a different person. I mean, they say this. So yeah, that's what it could be. And if the earth, is, it's being controlled. Oh gosh. Sorry, can I just take this call? My mum's calling me. We're recording it. We're not live, are we?
Gotta let your mum get your mum call. We are live. No, we're not live.
Hello.
Unmute yourself. Mute yourself.
Cool.
There we go. So he's back. I unmuted you. Sorry, we just you have to unmute yourself because I muted you. You have to ask to be unmuted. It's
She's
very
at the
polite.
door. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
No problem, no problem. Well, it's really fascinating to me, this whole connection with what transforms between us as we move through this Tartarian thing. I tell you a really cute life crack that I decided on this week, which I think is just really fun, and you might like it as antidotal for what's going on. But I picked the 5 people in my phone who call me the most, like my partner and my mom and my sister and my best friend and my business partner calls me a lot. And anyway, and I've renamed them all. So one's called Abundance, one is called Your Destiny, one is called Compassion, one is called Inspiration. And so now when they call me, I get message that says Abundance is calling you, or Your Destiny is calling you, or Compassion is calling you. One's called the Archangels. The Archangels are calling you. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing. So I've been very entertained for the last couple of days as my phone has come up with these beautiful grand messages from the universe to remind me at this amazing time of conflict and division. And I can tell you that my friends in the UK, they're reporting a lot of stress on their system. So you guys do remember, as we deep dive through these rabbit holes, and we are in some weird trippy timeline between the old reality, the new reality, and the old programming and this whole new rabbit hole we're in, that you take care of your minerals. I found that intuitively my body has wanted to up a whole pile of the minerals, and I've been doing that. So and I think that's because of all the new activations and energy and frequencies we're dealing with. It's being bombarded on us. From one end, the COVID cloud, and the other end, the ascension energy. So yeah, I was just saying, Cambell, to take care of your mineral intake in your body, just be intuitively aware when your body's feeling stressed out or depleted, and to check in and actually supplement yourself, because our systems are changing right now as we're getting more and more online, so to speak.
Yeah. As much fresh stuff as you can get. Fresh is best, of course, but if you can't, supplement, but with herbs, like the capsules that have got actual herbs and stuff in them.
Yeah, real things.
Yeah, not the tablet, not the baked tablet stuff.
Yeah. Stuff that tastes like soil, basically. So all right. So hey, Cambell, you put out a great clip this week about Photoshop. And I was so excited when I saw that, because I have also been noting these things with these pictures, because I got so obsessed with them. And it made so much sense when I heard that, hello, there's nothing in the sky. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, vanilla skies is what they call it. When you look at the old photos back late 1800s, early 1900s, pretty much all the skies are just whited out.
Yeah.
You don't see clouds, you don't see anything really. And a lot of them you can see that the images that sort of still come through, you can see a few bits
Faded.
and pieces.
Yeah.
But so a theory for that is that airships, that they were using airships back in the day to travel around. And of course, we all know of the Hindenburg blowing up, and at that point, no one else was allowed to use airships because they were deadly. So are they blurring them all out is the question, because airships is another one of those things that they're basically, free energy really, or at least very low energy. So they're hard, it's the money thing again, right?
Yeah.
Same with trains, same with trams, all this stuff that they rip out was all designed to be free, to basically to run itself, which means that the powers that want to be, they can't make money off that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
even the pavements moved. Like
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
they made
yeah.
everything run off power, didn't they? It's amazing the things that they had like innovated.
Yeah, but it was all simple tech. You know, we've got water everywhere. And so they used to have big water wheels everywhere that were running. You know, you spin it's free, right? And it's called water current,
Yep.
right? Just like electricity current, it's the same thing. And it's free. It just keeps, flowing and flowing. You can spin a water wheel. You can have that spinning an axle on a machine, and you've got free energy. And we're told that all we're given is like the windmills, right? No, it was just to crush flour. That's it.
Yeah.
But this was probably to run, free energy.
Yeah.
And with all the spires, if the airships were hooking up to the top of buildings up on the spires, they could have been, refueling with free energy.
Yep.
And using that. So yeah, the photoshopping has been around since the 1800s. There's tons and tons of, tons of it out there, a lot of examples. And again, a lot of it was simple stuff. Like it wasn't necessarily machinery. They were just using their hands and things, when they were developing it, and they were just blotting stuff out and adding and double developing, and you can't tell the difference from those pictures to the photoshops of today. I mean, they're almost better, because today you can see the lines where they've put stuff in if you really look, and that, because they used to blur it. So we don't know, right? We just don't know. This is the thing. We know they can manipulate all this stuff. We know they've changed the story. We know they've changed the books. We know they've changed the art. So why wouldn't they be changing photos too?
Yeah,
especially if they're trying to hide stuff.
I mean, and plus, like, we've got to take note that someone who was a part of this agenda took the friggin' photos in the first place, because someone was taking those photos when there was no other pictures and no other people, and it was all around the world. So someone was documenting these cities with a camera, that we have these photos. So they've been in charge of how this information's gotten out, like, forever. And do you feel from that perspective that the Tartarian consciousness has come out as a psyop? Like, is there any question there? Like, is there any flow on that they've actually controlled very, carefully all the content that's come out around Tartaria? Or has it blown up too much? Is this a flood? The doors are flooded. They can't keep up. People have found too much evidence now.
Yeah, I think it got away from them a bit. Yeah. I really do, because I mean,
I think so too.
We're being censored, we're just talking about, history, and we're not. Most people into this are just sort of saying, "Oh, look at this. What do you think?" We're not saying definitely, anything. We're just making, and so why would they care, right? But the thing about this topic is, when it just keeps proving itself right. Like when we started, we were asking all these different questions. Like, we got on to, hang on, this was, a year and a half ago. We started noticing all the red brick, and we were like, is everything red brick? Maybe everything's red brick. And then, slowly we started finding these pictures of, the big buildings with, the corner smashed off it. And sure enough, it was red brick. And so that proved itself. And it's happened so many different times. We have these ideas. And so it's like, there's this concept of the bad AI, that, that's, out there to get us. But when you look around, there seems to be a good AI as well, if that's what you want to call it, or it could be good and bad spirits or whatever, energy. Because all this stuff keeps popping up, they keep trying to push it down and suppress it and that, but they can't. It just keeps popping up, and all these random, things pop up, and all these, old books and maps and pictures. And of course, a lot of those may have been released, and I'm sure at least some were as distractions. But I think that, it's got away from them. I think there was just too much out there that we've got onto. And
I think, they basically took control of it for the last, 200 years. And like, I think they closed down that section. Didn't the institute that was actually in charge of rewriting history actually closed down 30 years ago? I remember watching something about this.
Yeah, right. Not sure about that one.
They were responsible for basically the education system. and what was
Yeah,
coming
right.
out in our textbooks and how history was presented and finding the information to support that. They were the great storytellers of our fake history, basically. And it was an institute, and they were set up in Germany.
Yeah, right.
So I will double check on that. But like, if you look at information, like, well, obviously the latest documentary, like the history of flat earth, like that is come out not just from some random dude in his bedroom. I don't believe that. I believe that there's like an entire, that was from my language would be white hats or light workers, or that's that good AI that I'm talking about behind that sort of like such beautifully cohesive, so research and evidence, a beautiful version of everything, or neatly like packaged together twice in two different series. Like, it feels very predestined, pre-planned.
Yeah, that's the thing, that there's just definitely something else going on here. This is definitely, you know, we all know by now that reality is not what we used to think it was, definitely not what we thought it was. It is. You know, it's much more malleable than we've ever been told. And yeah, I think I'm really just getting the sense that we're in some, you know, because this is the thing, all they need to do is change our perception, right? How we perceive things. That's our filter of the world.
Yeah.
Right. So, and they do that by programming, you know, TV and all that. They give us the information, tell us what's right or wrong. And if we believe that, and that becomes how we perceive the world, then we create that world.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the game. So they just get us to create their world that they want.
So that good AI, or that good support, or that good destiny, that's actually just us slightly from the future now, generating this present moment, because we were that energy that sought that information and that frequency, and we just sort of like blasting it backwards, so that all this is happening and unfolding for us, because we've already broken through it and brought it back. You know, it's got that real energetic about it.
Or we've been there before. You know, it's like if there's a, you know, it's this concept of, if there's a time bubble, then that we're caught in, then, you know, the old world still exists and could be fully functioning. Yeah, we just can't see it because they've got into our perception. You know, that they could, you know, for all we know, they could be people tapping us on the shoulder going, wake up.
What do you think of Martin's proposition that we're an upside down lifeboat that's been turned upside down, and we're bobbing around in this gigantic water-filled universe, and we're like capsized? I thought that, because there's water above us and below us. I thought that's really interesting. That's
the thing I've never been able to work out, is the water above. You know, and I've seen the videos of, you know, stars and that, and light through water and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, it all makes sense. But yeah, you know, what I used to think of was, you know, remember the cartoons of Aquaman and Atlantis, and it was underwater, and it was a dome.
And it was a bubble. It was like a dome.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, is if there's water above, are we at the bottom of someone's ocean or something?
That's right. And then you also think he drew that parallel that all fish tanks are sold with underground freaking castles and buildings in them. Like, if you go to a pet shop, they always have these. What a weird thing to put at the bottom of a fish pound.
A castle.
A castle. And it's like this standard thing. Like, how do we have water above us?
Or a giant shoe. Yeah, it's weird.
Or a giant shoe. Exactly.
I mean, there's definitely, the water's a big thing, isn't it? I mean, obviously, you know, maritime law, all this, all, you know, the symbolism. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's waters above, could they have come from there? I mean, it's a definite possibility. Or could they have sailed in from outside somewhere, you know, from somewhere else?
Well, that's the Phoenician theory, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, the boat people, and you know, so this is the problem. We just
we don't know anything.
We just need to get into the Vatican and get into their libraries, because clearly this was all worked out. I mean, I'm sure that this is all, and I'm sure it's all still there in books. Yeah. And written down.
Absolutely.
We just need to get out of this dream, or this, you know, nightmare. And the main thing is, we've got to not focus on what they want us to focus on. Yeah. You know, this is the thing. And it's like,
that's funny. Like, we do.
Yeah. And we're just so programmed. You say it to people and they're like, yeah. But what? Oh, but there's this thing happening. Well, only because you're focusing on it. But this is, you know, it's like, if we could all just actually get away from the button, just go, okay, we're focusing on this, how fast would things change?
Well, look, man, that's why
Like, this is
I'm
the
so
thing.
behind. Yep.
We're just,
Yep.
you know, don't watch the news. Oh, but I have to know what's going on. It's all lies. Oh, but it's like, come on, guys. It's so, we've got one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world, and we need to jump into the new world, because the old world doesn't collapse. And as long as there's focus on it, that's its life, right? That gives it life. That makes it real. So as long as we've got one foot in there, we're keeping it alive. Clearly, you know, and so this is a hard thing, right? Because we've been taught, and
this is complex, man. This is so a complex process.
It is.
New emotions,
because we've been taught that society is good and it will look after us and all this, but we know through what we've seen that all politicians do is steal from us and make things worse. But we still have this problem disconnecting, you know, growing up and leaving mum, and it's what
fear
it is.
Of authority. It's fear of authority, and that is the single purpose of school, and to get you completely programmed, nothing else but that there is authority over you, and you have to fall in line. Like that is school's function as a programming tool. I think emotionally above everything else. So it's really tricky business. It's a complex situation we're in, guys. And like, you got to know that, like, we're actually, and it's really interesting from our space of this consciousness, where we're like, literally, we, you know, yes, we are less focused on the COVID thing, and way more focused on beautiful, you know, buildings, which is like pretty fun and weird. What a weird parallel. And we, you know, we've got all this like amazement and wonder at the universe again, because we're like deep diving into these spaces, and yet we are like feeling this like pressure of societal blame, and soon there'll be the vaxxers and the passports, and we'll have less and less places we can interact with. So we're getting squashed out of the old world. That's what it feels like. They're literally like the universe is literally collapsing around us to push us out. All the doors will shut very soon, guys. Prepare yourself. All the doors are going to shut for the star seeds and true seekers. You're not going to be able to go to school. You're not going to be able to go to supermarket. You're going to be forced online shopping. You're not going to be able to go to pubs or clubs or sporting events or music events. You're not going to be able to do anything normal like that. Go to art galleries, museums, into any of these public government tours, which I know we're all dying to do, because obviously we're like obsessed with buildings now. You know, all of that's going to become like too hard basket. So we're literally having this old world shut its doors in our face as we stand in our sovereignty. And then from that perspective, new things are going to have to pop up, right? New communities, new businesses, new solutions, new things that are going to happen to our community. But like, it's a squeeze, and we kind of are literally in two worlds right now. Most of us have to work. Most of us have to like interact with the old world.
But yeah, like you say, that those decisions are going to soon be taken away. It's going to be, you want to work, you know what you're going to have to do.
Smart money. The money's they're turned into cash. They've announced that in New South Wales.
And so this is all showing us that, you know, we don't need the system. The system isn't us. The system isn't good for us. The system does need to collapse and die. And you know, we're going to be put in the position where you're just going to have to take that step, you know, so this is, you know, the best thing we can do at the moment is really, you know, learn who we are and learn to trust ourselves, and learn and understand that, you know, we have, you know, the God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has got your back. You know, it's not that scary. And just trusting, you know, taking that step, seeing what happens. What's the worst that could happen? You know, have a go.
You can't do this without knowing you can't do it without knowing love. Like, you have to know that there is divine source love running through you 24/7. You can't be separated of it. You have to feel that connection. It has to be so grounded in your energetic. And like, once that is known and grounded and founded in you and found in you, like you won't walk in fear. You won't walk in that level of anxiety. You'll have a innate a little bit freaky, but innate trusting that this is all going to work out in a way that we can't even imagine, but it's going to be our wildest dreams come true. How amazing, get fucked. We're about to have the best time of our lives. Let's just like get through this sticky bit of graduation. This is our graduation. It's the hard shit where we've got to do our exams.
I totally agree. And I've actually been saying that for a while is where we're at right now as far as humanity is we're 17 or 18, right?
Yep.
Or 20, just for 21, whichever the age of adulthood is. We're growing up and it's time to leave home, time to leave mummy and daddy and make our own decisions and live on our own.
Freaky shit, man.
I think that's exactly where we are right now. Like 100%.
Yeah. And it takes guts, and you got to hold your nerve, and you got to know that you know the work. You got to know that you've done the work. You got to know that like nothing can happen that you're not prepared for. Like you've done your shadow work, you've done your research, you've done your growth. Like you've become sober and you know where you stand on things. You've done your work. So now we just got to like graduate the final round of
just
metaphoric tests.
You know, it's like we've done the test and we're waiting for the results, right?
Oh, really? Oh, that's even more stressful.
No. So it's not. So there's nothing you can do at the moment. Just trust that you've done fine, that you know everything you know, and what we've got, that you know, the main power is, you know, is connection, right? Belief in the connection that there's a creator.
Yeah.
Because when you believe that there's a creator and you're connected and you create your own reality, it's not that scary to go out and stuff, because you're creating the reality. So you're creating somewhere good to end up.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in that and you have to leave the city and it's just all random and hopefully you'll find something, you know, that's scary.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's what's scary, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, believe, you know, it's really getting this connection thing worked out and understanding that this is all an experience. It's just a game. Death doesn't exist. That's just more fear-based crap. So if you're eternal and you're part of the all, then what can go wrong?
Yeah.
If you create your reality, what can go wrong unless you make it go wrong?
Absolutely.
And if you make it go wrong, then you're going to change it if you understand that you created it.
Absolutely.
You know, if you don't understand that, you just keep creating the same crap and you start yelling at people who you don't know, and you lose your mind. So yeah, this is what's happening. It's the apocalypse, right?
So tell me, it's the apocalypse. Well, look, we've always been told we're in a spiritual war. Like we've been told that forever. Like that's in every book forever and ever and ever, every mythology, everything. Like that's just the facts. We've been in this forever. It's just now, this is how it's manifesting. It's just manifesting more physically around us right now, more than ever, which is because we're on it's a swan song, the last grand finale of this gigantic, insane movie we've participated in. We will get a round of applause soon. I really feel that. I feel like we're all going to have that moment where the entire universe is like fucking well, and we'll see our fan group and we'll see the merchandising, all that stuff. Well, they'll all be with it.
We won.
So I have to ask you, because I really want to start focusing on this just as a slight detour, but like, what is your collective summary of what is Ayers Rock and the Olgas? Like, if we now know that no rock formation is natural, that this is a flat realm, that we're talking, it's either, you know, giant splintered or cut down trees, or it's melted buildings and civilizations, or it's some form of rubbish left over from this process. So what's your knowing on Ayers Rock?
Well, Ayers Rock, yeah, I would say it's melted remains of something. It's definitely it's been, you know, its position where it's been positioned is you know, on a lot of energetic lines. I'm pretty sure it's sitting right on a vortex. And it's like, they tell us it's like an iceberg, you know, there's 90% of it's underground. And that's very close to Pine Gap, which is a massive underground facility. And of course, all of the interior of Australia has just been destroyed by something, just decimated. So I would say that it's probably would have been the center point of, you know, a large civilization, and probably used as a center point, energy point of Australia, of the continent. And these on every continent, there's actually, they've all got in the center of them, they've got like an arc that is, it's either a raised, they're all raised up on plateaus, these arcs, like a half moon, like an arc.
Yeah, right.
And they're in the center of every continent.
Do we have one?
Yeah, it's out near Ayers Rock. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've not
And
seen
in
this
these
picture. Have you got a picture?
places, I'm not on me.
No,
I can
alright.
send you some.
Yeah, we will.
as
We'll
a
post
video.
it under a link.
Yeah.
So wait a
and-
minute. Oh my God. Well, what? Oh my God, Campbell.
And so in these places, they have a high like percentage of kids with blonde hair and blue eyes born as well. And there's a tribe in the South America. Oh gosh, I've forgotten their name. But they're all blonde and blue eyed,
Village of the
tall
Damned.
with blonde
Yeah.
hair.
Mhm.
Obviously with the Aboriginals, we get lots of them born with blonde hair and blue eyes. And yeah, so they're in Africa, North America, Europe. I think they're just energy points that were probably built up. And I think, yeah, Ayers Rock's got to do with that. The Olgas, I think, is probably an old city. It just looks like a melted city.
Mm.
It's almost, you can almost see the levels in it. But Ayers Rock looks a lot like when you go into the Middle East and you look at places like Sodom and Gomorrah and Uruk and all these places. It looks almost identical as what you see there. Like what they look like is a massive, Romanesque, those big Romanesque, like what's behind you, buildings up on a basement. They used to build them up on these bases, and they've been hit by something. It's just all. That's what it looks like. So you can probably get inside it. Inside it is right. There's probably still some hollows in there.
Yeah, sure.
Because it has stories of spirits and stuff as well, right? Which a lot of these places have. So what's that? Is that just noises from underground or something, or is it?
Well, I mean, did you read a long time ago? A book came out called "Mutant Message from Down Under." And it was it was really amazing book. It was like picked as a biography, but then like packaged as fiction. But she went around. She was an American woman that went around with an Indigenous tribe into the interior of Australia and saw all these miracles happen and wrote about them. And then when it got to Ayers Rock, she was talking about it being like underground, and it's like it holds all the most prized art. Well, it used to be the library in essence of all the prized artifacts. But then we've got Pine Gap, which is literally dug in under the Olgas and Ayers Rock, and then we've got this point, this energy vortex. It's like referred to as the heart center of not just Australia, of the Earth. And so a lot of this, all the solstice energy and all the ascension energy stuff is all being focused on Ayers Rock and that whole Uluru area. So and that's how it's been like presented, like the heart energy says. So what if that, like the desolation around Ayers Rock, the entire interior of Australia, that whole it's just desert, nothing out there. What if that was the actual control center of this entire agenda? Because Ayers Rock has always, Australia is like, no one can deny, Australia is now the prototype for the world. With these lockdowns and vaccines, we've got the most strongest dictatorship going on of the world. Australia is relatively like away from the rest of the world. Like the desert is so big, it's so underpopulated, no one's there. It's just like anything could be going on. There's all these rumors of it holding the world's biggest blood bank, all the gene blood bank at Pine Gap. Pine Gap was apparently the most evilest place in the world, where they took the Indigenous kids, that whole lost generation, and tortured them, try to get out their essence from them. Very the Dark Crystal, like that whole Dark Crystal movie with Jim Henson. That's just like Ayers Rock. That's what happened at Ayers Rock to our Indigenous. And I don't know, could it be that there is a control panel there, and the fact that the light workers and the Indigenous have referred to it as the heart center? Is it like, because it is the most potent inversion, like the agenda's inversion, their heart center would be on top of the real heart center? I don't know, I'm just putting it out there.
Of course, that's all they do is invert things. Of course, that's what they would do. It's very close to Antarctica as well, Australia. I mean, yeah, right. Hidden in plain sight. Everyone would be looking in Europe and America. Who would look in Australia?
Exactly. And we are proving to Australia right now that Tartaria is here Oh my God, like there is so much everywhere, this whole, and they sold us this idea that we just arrived 200 years ago and we're the youngest country with the youngest population. They sold us that bullshit. And everyone has just accepted it. Like they've accepted that, Santa Claus wasn't real and the North Pole is nothing to worry about. They've also accepted Australia is 200 years old and there's no history here. And yet we're proving how old Australia is. And then you got Ayers Rock and the Heart Centre, Pine Gap, the worst military base ever, and a whole big desert around it that no one's ever going to see anything about anything.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely could be. I mean, there's, heaps of, celebrities, do we call them that? Have property in Australia. A lot of them have got property up around Byron Bay, and a lot of them have got property over here in Perth and Margaret River.
They're everywhere. We're crawling with them.
Yeah, so for head of population, I mean, that's probably the highest in the world,
And do you remember Marino Brokovich, that satanic artist that came out a lot last year and was doing, working with Microsoft, and she does blood, blood, like
paintings and stuff,
blood meals, and all the celebrities turn up in white. It's really gross.
It's
the worst of worst. Well, she was at Ayers Rock the day before. She did a ritual at Ayers Rock before Lindy Chamberlain's baby went missing, and there was this whole rabbit hole that unfolded that that baby was used as a sacrifice with Marina Brokovich right there at the, in the Ayers Rock area. And like, it's just a really weird link. Like, she is hardcore into this pathway.
See, this is the thing, like that whole, Azaria Chamberlain, I mean, how that was just hammered for years and years and years, and they kept bringing it back, didn't they? They brought it back for about 3 different court cases.
They put so much attention on it. They kept that story so strong, like that black magic.
Which is exactly what they would do.
Yeah.
They just keep promoting it out and out. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that came out last year.
I mean, this just, especially back in 1980, you could get away with anything in the middle of Australia. Like literally, there was no one there. There still isn't. Yeah, I mean, God.
Just random. So like, if we were to,
how did we end up here?
If we were to look at the shapes, the things that are out there around Ayers Rock, we're looking at classically these, what would look like the giant trees cut down plateaus sort of in the middle of nowhere. We're looking at these, rounded off rock formations like the Olgas. And then we look at, there's like quite a lot of canyons, like
and
canyon crevices.
And,
So you can really see that it's definitely not flat. Like, I've been out there, like you literally there's massive dips of canyons out there, and there's definitely
there's been a lot of water flow or something.
Yes.
You look at it from above and it just looks like water's just taken over the whole air. It's weird. It doesn't look like a desert that they tell us. It's not just sand, that's for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have the rolling sand. Like, it doesn't have any rolling sand hills. It has just like cracked hard earth.
Yeah.
And not much vegetation. But what else I would say, and so the earth's really red. That's just something of interest, with the red brick concept. The middle of Australia literally is full of red. It's red. It's known as the red center. So I don't know, is that like, does that tell us that it was a huge civilization?
You know what else it's known as? The Dead Heart.
The Dead Heart, yes. Well, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. The Dead Heart.
Hello. I am telling you, Australia's connection to this consciousness is so ununderstood yet. It's big, man. Like, it is big. We're going to have to get everyone together and really deep dive on Australia. Like, there is so much. And you know what? We've been talking about the potential of doing an online, like, Tartaria Australia Summit. But wow, wouldn't it be fucking cool if we just called a caravan of us out to the Red Centre and just like did it, like sort of at the Christmas holidays. It's like actually just like put the camp spot and just like did it live under the stars, away from all this shit, but actually tuning into this Red Centre, because I just can't drop it. I really feel like, and because I've been connected to all of the starseeds internationally who've been on these international transmissions for the last 18 months. And so a big community of people who do monthly meditations. And over the last 2 years, so much has been focused on Australia. Just naturally from the rest of the Starseed communities onto Ayers Rock, Uluru, the centre. And they do it because they know it to be the heart centre, just over and over and over again. So we can't underestimate the importance of that actually being true. Like if that is the truth, and they have, and it's like referred to as the dent. We don't even know if that's where one of the, although it doesn't have that like, although I bet if we looked like that meteor thing going on, maybe it does it? Like maybe it was from one of the holes where the water came out and up. Maybe it was in that area.
Yeah, right. The groundwater, yeah.
Do we have any
could
meteor sort of, I bet we do if we can find it. I think we should.
Yeah, there'd be something somewhere, no doubt. But yeah, it definitely looks more like a lot of water's gone across or flowing something than you know, the holes like you see in Russia and that kind of thing. But yeah, I didn't know that everyone was focusing on
yes,
the heart of
and it's and it's so interesting because have you heard of Evan and Stephen Strong? No. They do an Ancient Alien show, but their whole thing is basically working with the Indigenous here in Australia. Like they probably hold as two speakers the most authoritative voice on our Indigenous Australia and their true history and all the artifacts that they've found all around Australia to do with all of.
Send me a link.
Yes, well, like we can have them on the show, basically.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, cool. So I don't know if they know anything about Tartaria or any of this consciousness, but certainly if there's any information, they would enjoy the conversation from their perspective, whether it's totally contradictory to everything they know. There will be links there for certain.
Yeah, expand their minds a bit.
They're the ones that introduced all the hieroglyphics in the caves.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Found.
Is this the father and son?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, now, I'd love to have a chat with them. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Have you heard about this language called Magyar?
Yes, I have. Yes.
You have? Okay.
I think, yes. I think Evan and Stephen will have a connection to that as well.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Yes.
Because that does have links. Obviously the Magi, but that goes back a lot of places.
Yep.
And that's bizarre because that's supposed to be Romanian, is that correct? Something like that. Kind of from that region, but basically from Europe, I think. How did that get here, right?
And it was turning up here. Yeah. Yes. Well, yes.
You know,
I mean, from this perspective, so many of those questions are answered. Like so many answers that haven't been able to be answered, those connections. Anyway, I think it would be an amazing conversation because I think we really need to do, if anyone's out there wants to get into this, like we really need to do some deep dives on that whole area, on the heart center of Australia, on what can people see out there, what like landmarks, what things are out there, what can we find? Is there anything that represents like Tartaria buildings out there, anything at all? I know there's Masonic. I've driven there and there are Masonic lodges in every single fucking village, tiniest little isolated outback townships and villages all throughout in rural inland Australia, and they all have a friggin' Masonic hall. It's the trippiest thing I've ever seen. Like big giant columns and then nothing else, just like corrugated iron and, you know, a crappy little pub. But they all have a Masonic lodge. It's really weird. So it traveled like that programming, the little programming hubs.
Yeah. Well, that's what they did, you know, and then they'd just get all the dads in there and just slowly program them and, you know. But it's also, you know, it's like a dog peeing on a tree, right? They're marking their territory. Australia
must be old then. If the whole of the color of it is of the red brick sand, and all we've got is very, very few land masses and relics out there, very few, you know, there's not even like canyons with windows or meshed up doorways. Like it all looks very weathered now. So it's obviously feels like maybe it's like when we talk about the Indigenous being the oldest civilization, maybe that energetic from, you know, the Ayers Rock area is actually literally one of the oldest relics that we've got here on the planet, like as far as a civilization goes, but potentially underneath it is the most active.
Yeah, it could be.
Because it's the oldest.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it could be. It's just such a mixed up story of what's going on. And the main thing they've done is they've mixed up all the people, you know, as far as, you know, they ship people around and all these different, you know, trades and immigration. So that no one knows where they're from, you know, no one's got a connection to the land anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, the Australian Aboriginals seem to be, you know, one of the ones that do have a strong connection, you know, that yeah. You know, they sort of, I mean, they got hammered.
And even their history is like messed up.
This is the thing. I mean, in the end, I mean, what they went through, and they just got decimated, and, you know, they took all the kids away and re-educated them. You know, so it was a full, you know, they really did try to destroy the information.
Absolutely.
And you know, I'm sure that they did in certain places. You know, I'm sure there's elders out there that have got stuff, but a lot of them probably don't talk about that stuff too much because, you know, it's because they know it's going to get people in trouble.
And it
so
destroyed their languages.
A few people that know and they get it passed down, but they don't, it doesn't go further.
And they went so hardcore with destroying their tribal languages, like so hardcore. So, and of course we know the power of speech and the sound of that, the sound of language and the resonance of that, like sparks off in the conscious reality. So by actually annihilating all of our indigenous languages around the world, that was like probably more than anything else, like actually the biggest spell on us, that all those sounds, all that sound and frequency no longer created for us a picture of reality. Like it was just removed, gone. And then I watched with Martin the other day that they removed all the bells. I didn't even know that across the whole world all at once. All the bells were completely taken out of every church.
Yeah. I remember when I was young, like all the stories pretty much, heaps of them were full of, they all told you all the church, you know, the church bells ring and the church bells go ding dong. And what is it? The one about,
every nursery rhyme.
Oranges and lemons or something. The bells of St. Clement. Like there's tons and tons of them. And they literally, you know, all these bell frees, right? A bell free. It's free of its bell. They took the bells out. They're everywhere.
They did it. So basically they did it all at once during the wars. Like they just made them illegal or something.
Yeah, well, they just did it, I think. I think they just went round and they were just taking, they have a war and they just go and steal them all. And melt them down or whatever. A lot of the big old ones have got cracks in them. And I'm talking big ones, which may have been a frequency change, right? You know, if they ring it at the wrong frequency, it'd crack it just like a wine glass.
Yep.
And this is all connected to the free energy, to the cathedrals, to the water, to the cymatic windows. It's all frequency, the organs. It was all a system. So you take the bells out and you've lost that base frequency and the machine doesn't run. So this is
they were made of metal that no longer exists, don't they? They're made of a unique metal that we don't have anymore.
Yeah. It's a type of brass, but they don't know how to make it. There's also a type of iron. You know, you still see that black railing, you know, that wrought iron railing, and you see it all over literally all over in every country, and it doesn't rust either. And there's actually a pole in India that's, what do they say? I think they say it's about 800 years old, and it's made of iron and it's got no rust on it because it's made of a certain type of iron that doesn't rust. But again, they say they can't make that now. But I mean, that's the thing. Imagine if every car or every metal thing was made out and could never rust. You know, what does that mean? It means we wouldn't be going and buying new cars. And this has all got to do with money, which is power to them. You know, if they can control us through money, then they control us, and it's a power trip. But yeah, everything was taken apart so that they could control it. The free energy, you know, they wanted us to charge us for it.
Well, it's quite startling. It's startling pictures for those who haven't seen that. Like just photographs of, like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of giant bells that have been like laid down on the pavement during World War II. And, you know, in Russia and in Germany, just all across these countries, every bell was being removed. Like, that's just something I didn't know before. And I was like, wow, of course they did that. You know, of course, that's why there's no friggin' bell towers and we don't hear the bells. And yeah. Anyway, bells. So the inversion of the bell frequency is what? What do we hear now that aren't bells? What's the opposite? It's just like white noise. It's white electronic noise. It's like, it's commercials, it's advertising, it's talking boxes. It's
440 hertz, you know, that background buzzing radiation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is now. And it's also it's random. You know, it's not one set frequency or whatever. You know, it used to be a set frequency, you know, at least in certain places. Now it's whatever. You know, you'll have 100 frequencies going in 10 houses.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's confusion. It's, you know, it's non-focus. It's everything.
It's
right?
very chaotic.
Yeah, chaotic. Yeah, to keep us from being relaxed and being able to think properly. Keep us in that frame of mind where it's like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, like they changed it in the 40s, that the actual frequency that all music is recorded and played on got changed from 432 to 440. So that, you know, it's they know about frequency, they know about all this stuff. You know, the star forts, right? They fill in all the canals or cut them off so the water can't flow. They stop the current. You know, so then they don't so they don't work. So they're all fractal shapes that will probably, you know, energizing the water and things like this, that then they could put on their crops and drink and it would grow bigger crops. All this stuff's all been, and they stopped that. And now we throw bloody, you know, dead animals and chemicals on our plants. So it all worked perfectly.
Yeah,
and it was
God,
all free.
blood and bones. Blood and bones.
Yeah, blood and bones, right?
Oh, one of the, like, going back to my my working life with the Regeneration charity, like today I was all on, like, our whole legacy is to remove poison from the planet. And like, but to actually consider what that actually looks like. I mean, have you guys actually really taken it in how much poison is on this planet? Like, we are literally in a poisoned realm. There is no food. Like, even if you're completely the most organic, regenerative human being on the planet, you're still fundamentally being poisoned in all areas that you can't even imagine right now. Right down to the carpet under your feet. And, you know, like, it's insane. And like, this is our realm. It's a poisoned realm. And so can you imagine what it will feel like to be in a realm that is just missing, if nothing else, just the poison?
That's the poison. Well,
oh my God.
How old would we live?
Oh, how would we feel?
The thing. Everyone's like, oh, how did they live so old? Yeah,
how
exactly.
would we look? We will be in different bodies. We're in the worst bodies we've ever, like, we're in the best bodies, guys, we've ever been in, but they're the worst looking bodies that we've ever been in. Because actually, when you and I, and we're all in our real bodies, we're fucking beautiful. Like, no, you're all beautiful. These are our worst looking bodies because they have had to deal with poison and low density energy and like all these full on assaulting variables and shitty, sicky frequencies and like all very, very bad. Thank God for nature. Like, thank God nature has prevailed enough that we at least have a few tiny little sapling trees to hug now and again, you know, that we've just accepted the fact that we've lost the big ones.
Yeah.
We'll take the little gum tree. It's all right. We'll hold on, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, it can all be changed. It can all be, you know,
regenerated.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Dr. Emoto, and he does the work with the water, right?
Yep.
And talks to the water and stuff. And he shows, you know, polluted water. And then they're not even putting frequencies. They just talk to it and tell it they love it. And it turns into clean water. And, you know, that's frequency, right? So we can do that with the whole planet. So yeah, the whole world. So we're here at the moment, but again, they want us to focus on how bad it is, right? And there's poison everywhere, right? But if we do that, we're just helping them.
Yep.
We've got to sort of see it differently and understand that, yeah, sure, that's what they want. You know, we don't want to live in a dream world. But, you know, if that's our focus, you know, oh, it's poisoned, we've got to clean the world because it's poisoned. Your main focus is still that it's poisoned.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, where you can have a different perspective of, oh, we're just going out and, you know, building gardens. We're just, you know, helping the earth, or what, you're coming
So
from
true.
a different perspective.
Which is why I've just launched the What If department. And the What If department is charged with telling a new story. That's its entire function. Of actually telling a new story, so that we're like totally rewriting the state of affairs. And I've thrown artists and writers behind it, and it's going to be very exciting to see how we can erase this notion of climate change and like completely tell a new story. We'll watch this space on that one. So I am going to, Campbell, have really fun, because what I want to do in the next couple of weeks is commission a few artists to start putting together images from Australia, just like the ones behind us, these beautiful, like these amazing ones of the tops to the bottoms. And so I'm going to start doing that over the next couple of weeks. So is there any building that you would love to see Tartariified? What do you reckon?
Yeah, there's just so many. I mean, Governor House in New South Wales is a good one, isn't it?
Governor House, yep.
You know, the castle, yeah.
We've got the exhibition centre here in Melbourne. That's an insane
exactly.
one.
You've got that one.
Flinders Street. What do you reckon?
Flinders Street.
Flinders
Yeah.
Street.
Oh, that actually would be. Yeah, that would probably be the biggest.
Should we do Flinders Street? Should I start?
Yeah,
off
I think
Flinders
Street. That could be. Because that would be definitely.
So
definitely.
so I'm going to start to like get these images created for us, so that we can start to like I think they'll do heaps for this whole consciousness movement getting stronger and stronger here in Australia. I think it will really help having those and delight the rest of the world. Like, so we have to imagine what Ayers Rock actually looked like into its underground, because that's one image we're going to make. I think that'll be really fun to start to reimagine what that civilization looked like and actually create an image of it. And so I'm going to see, I'm going to trial a few artists and see who's got their head around this sort of artwork, and see what we come up with. So, well, awesome. Cam, I reckon we should wrap it up there, because we've done an hour and a half so quick. It's like 10 hours. I know, like you on all these flat earth channels and Tartaria channels, they're just going for 3 hours, because like there's so much to talk about. You never get tired.
I know, you can, yeah. You've got to watch the clock.
But I think an hour and a half is a good, like,
it is
a lot to digest. And we'll try to find, we want an image from you of the moon shape in Australia. I'm fascinated by that. I'd love to see. And we're going to put a link to your awesome Photoshop episode, just because it's so much fun. And once you see it, once again, you can't fucking unsee it. So now all I see when I look at those photos is just sky. That's all I see. I just see sky, nothingness. So yeah, thanks for joining us. I hopefully will see you next week on the Tartaria Australia site.
Yep.
Our new show, which we've just invented. And here we are. So
back.
If there's any other amazing voices from Australia that we should get on, let's bring them on. Let's bring some of the Aussie voices together and see what we've got going on here. Definitely. Love that.
Definitely, yeah. I'll do a shout out. There's definitely some out there. Yeah,
awesome.
Sure.
I mean, I would love to meet them, and I'm sure everyone would love to meet them. Yep.
Sure, definitely.
So
awesome.
Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Get through your weekend. Have a good Tartarian hunt this weekend. Go and find an awesome building. Take some pictures. Go for a march through your town or city and eyeball off everyone, and just stand in your sovereignty and have a really amazing romantic date, because the world is open to you and you alone at the moment.
Sure is, guys. Stay awesome.
All right. See you later, everyone.
See ya.